Let's go. Good morning, my friends. It's your old pal PeaceLoveMusic with another episode of the Let's Go Good Morning Stacks show, brought to you live on DeOrganized Media in partnership with our good friends over at BitcoinLive Decentralized Broadcasting. It is Friday. We made it through another week. Man, this week flew by. Got a lot accomplished. So many things delivered in the ecosystem. So many bullish things coming and announced. Really great time to be in the space. If you do like the content and you're tuning in and you like what we're about here at DeOrganized, please share out the stream. Trying to get as many people to get connected to the information we're providing every day here about Bitcoin and the broader crypto ecosystem, and focusing on the leading layer 2 on Bitcoin stacks. And if you have opinions as to what is and is not an L2, come chat with us about it. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Set you straight. Friendly reminder, this is a news show. We are not providing financial advice. We are providing news and information only. Always do your own research. Never invest money you cannot afford to lose. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a friendly guy that tries to get all the information I can together and send it to you so you can make your own decisions based on your own risk tolerance. That being said, Bitcoin's looking good this morning, back up over 105 as of a little while before broadcast, 105,455. Stacks hanging on to the $40s range, 143. Did dip down a couple spots to number 57 by market cap. On CoinMarketCap, Fear and Greed Index ticked up from 60 to 61, still in the low greed range. And the top three gainers on CoinMarketCap for the past 24 hours are Lido DAO, LDO token, Ondo, and Curve token. Not financial advice. Hermetica yield on USDH today is, looks like my stuff didn't change. No, I guess it is. It's 57. It's not 65. I didn't correct that one. Are you taking advantage of the Zeely quests on Bitflow? Go check them out. A new token IDO on Alex, Rune Mine. Mine token is launching, IDO launching on Alex on February 3rd, creating infrastructure for meme coins. Velar Perp trading is coming soon. We're just waiting on consistent fast blocks for the Nakamoto upgrade on Stacks. Velar Perp trading on Stacks is coming soon, likely within the next couple of weeks. They are ready to launch it, and it seems like the blocks are consistently fast right now, but just waiting for some final tuning before that goes live, and that's going to be awesome. If you're into trading, this is not financial advice, but this is going to be trading on steroids. If you're into trading in the Stacks ecosystem, PerpDex trading is going to be massive. Return to Ape. Also, don't miss the guide to launching self-deployed liquidity pools on Velar. Zest is now offering 7.28% yield on SBTC, and their highest yield today is 81.73% on a USDA token. Today's rates on Stacking DAO, 8.37% on Liquid Stacks, STXDX, or receive yield in native BTC at 8.04. And now, as of yesterday, they launched it during our live show while we were interviewing Lior from Stacking DAO. It went live. You can earn 7.37% yield on your stacks, stacking them and earning yield in SBTC at 7.37% on Stacking DAO. The top three Stacks token performers on Velar the past 24 hours are Turto, Velar, and Satoshi AI, SAI. Friends, when you stack your STX, you earn yield in Bitcoin. So you can earn yield all over the place with your STX on Stacks, starting with the regular proof of transfer concept that keeps it tied to the Bitcoin blockchain, which makes it a layer 2 on Bitcoin. We have native Bitcoin bridged in as SBTC, Bitcoin finality. All of the transactions are secured and immutable on Bitcoin layer. And when you stack your STX, you earn yield. And now there's all sorts of other ways to earn yield in the ecosystem as well. If you can only hold one altcoin for the next 10 years, which would it be? Tell us in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. There we go. We got the calendar up. What's the calendar for the day? As always, Monday through Friday, we do the Good Morning Show, 8:30 to 9:30-ish. Monday through Friday coming at you live. We have the weekly SIP call today at 11 a.m. I'm not sure of all the other calls, whether they're still going on or not. I know Landy normally has his show at 1. There's been some others. Stacks Africa was doing a 2 p.m. Stacks Nigeria was doing 3 p.m. Always Purple Pill Friday at 5 p.m. with Dan and Brad. And I don't know if there's another. I don't know if Dave and Stacks are doing a show on Fridays still. They were at one time, but I don't know if that's still going on. So they'll have to let us know, and maybe we can get them onto the DeOrganized website calendar that we're building out. That should have some more functionality soon. If I could just get my stuff together and get in Tripp's ear to let him know what I want to do with it. That is the calendar, or what we have on the calendar for the day. The news. Trump's executive order excludes the Fed and the FDIC from crypto working groups, potentially ending Operation Choke Point 2.0. Vitalik Buterin unveils Ethereum's scaling roadmap, emphasizing L2 growth, blob scaling, and ETH as the ecosystem's core economic driver. It's all happening on Stacks. The SEC scraps SAB 121, reigniting debates over Bitcoin custody as critics argue institutional involvement strays from Satoshi's vision of decentralization. Senator Cynthia Lummis calls SAB 121 disastrous for the banking industry and claims that it stunted the innovation and advancement of digital assets in the U.S. No kidding. Could you imagine if the last 4 years we had a friendly crypto administration like we have coming in now, or not coming in? Here, it's here now. Look at it. But that's all water under the bridge. And now we have that administration now. Ether set for potential tactical breakout after SEC kills SAB 121, according to 10x Research head of research Marcus Thielen. ETH could break above current triangle pattern with a prudent stop loss near the recent low of $3,186, Thielen said. Not financial advice, or maybe that's financial advice from Thielen. You'd have to go check him out. Trump-inspired meme coins gain traction on BNB chain as Binance releases a guide to simplify meme coin creation. We have a couple of easy ways to do that on Stacks. President Trump and pro-Bitcoin President Nayib Bukele discussed working together to stop illegal immigration and crack down on transnational gangs in their call. No mention of crypto was made during the call. They're both already on the same page there, probably, hopefully. Realize, an institution focused on Ethereum marketing firm, has launched with the goal of educating institutions on the blockchain and its token Ether. My opinion, from a marketing standpoint, they need to fix their name. Realize, what is that? Senator Elizabeth Warren asked U.S. financial regulators and government ethics office to probe the ethical and legal concerns around Trump's crypto tokens. Trump and Melania. Good luck with that. ETF flows around 1,820 BTC were bought and 4,600 ETH were sold on January 23rd. Yesterday, BTC ETFs saw $188.7 million in net inflows. ETH ETFs saw $14.9 million in net outflows. U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs recorded over $3.6 billion of inflows over the last 6 days. It's pretty solid. Bitcoin's price action is mimicking the 2016 to 2017 cycle. That's when I first came aboard with no idea what was going on, and could hit a top of 150,000, maybe a little more, says Glassnode lead analyst James Check. Bitcoin hitting 150,000 would give short-term holders an average of 66% profit, and long-term holders an average of 509% profit. That's a 5x for those that aren't good at percentages. By now, you have all heard about what's going on over at AIBTC.dev and their process for launching AI DAOs. All you have to do is post on X at prompt to DAO, telling it the details of the DAO you want to initiate, and it does it for you with AI agents running your AI DAO. You don't actually really own the DAO unless you go over to fact.fun and purchase some of the tokens that it launches on fact.fun with the launch of the DAO. If you haven't checked out fact.fun, there's several new tokens currently in the bonding curve over there, plus a bunch of AIs that have launched over the last 2 days. But can you get to the yams is really the question. Do you have a .btc name? You can get one now over at bns.one. They've announced a number of platform enhancements for user interface, listing, marketplace enhancements, and more. Head on over to bns.one to get your own .btc.stx or other BNS digital ID now. We're all rocking them. I definitely have PeaceLoveMusic.btc. I actually lined that up before I started calling myself that. Have you checked the Zero Authority bounties lately? There are currently a couple of bounties active right now. Head over to zeroauthority.xyz. Get to the bounties. Follow the directions to participate and possibly earn some STX and or SBTC now. Gary's Gated.so is in alpha test. Gated is going to be a platform for artists and creators to launch their digital assets and control access to the content they create. Go set up your account now. It only costs 1 STX to be early to Gated. Tune in tomorrow for the second launch on Gated. First one was Good Kitty's When Walls Break album, which was groundbreaking, new development and cutting edge. And now Reese, following up with his Moshines, will mint a small number of one-of-one NFT art pieces for only 20 stacks each. So definitely check that out tomorrow. We had another great episode of Find to Earn with the Game Master Zenotron yesterday with nearly 550 viewers tuned in live to participate. Stay tuned to the morning show for more opportunities to find to earn. Looking to get started as a developer with Stacks, head over to stacks.co. And over to the right, you'll see Get Started, and you click on that. It brings you to a page where you can get all the information you need to get started, access developer tools, learn the basics. It'll walk you through building a full app and even give you ways to get paid to build apps. Are you interested in helping builders and devs test out their projects on Stacks? We've built a tester QA community. It's a DM group on X, and we're connected with a bunch of the devs in the space. If you are a dev also, we get you in there. If you're looking for testers, anyone that's interested in joining, just DM me at PeaceLoveMusicG on X if you're interested. I tell people the G is for 1 sharp, dude. The key of G is 1 sharp. It's F sharp, and the key of G, everything else is a natural. But really, it's just because there was all the other Peace Love Musics were taken when I was setting up my X account back in January. Stacks SIP and Innovation Community Call every Friday at 11. That's today with Hero Gamer and the Stacks Foundation. Come learn about latest developments on Stacks and give us your input. We want to hear from you what you want to see built on Stacks. And shout out to Dan Trevino. Stacks Pay is now live on SIP. It's being discussed. There's a couple of SIPs on there. But Dan was on Good Kitty's show yesterday talking about Boom Wallet. Super excited about the impending launch on Boom and all the cool functionality he's got over there. So go over to stackspay.org to read more about the SIP proposal, and definitely head over to boom.money so you can get on the wait list and be notified and take advantage as soon as Boom Wallet launches. That is our news today, and we have some great guests. I have our always awesome Friday guest, the legend of Stacks Legends, Jack Binswitch, in the house. Good morning, brother. We got GPSC back from the dead, still feeling a little bit under the weather, but he's a trooper coming out to join us. And then excellent friend of the show, Jakob from Hermetica. Jakob, good morning. How are you today? I can't hear you. I couldn't hear Jakob. How you feeling?
How about now? How about
there
now?
There he is. There he is.
Turns out you have to switch on the mic. Doing well, guys. Good to see you.
You know, the best thing is, so when I used to do the shows by myself every morning, there was no one to tell me that my audio wasn't working. So there was one time where I did a whole 15-minute episode talking to everybody, giving the news, and nobody could hear me. So that was one day they were
those captions.
You have to animate with your hands.
And I am half Italian, so I do that a lot. So if you guys didn't know, Jakob, congratulations, man. Jakob just got a ton of new inflows into Hermetica. So now the USDH is the largest stablecoin on Stacks.
That's right. That's right. I mean, hopefully it's only for short, because I hope there's more liquidity in other stable coins coming online. But
True.
That.
The more the better.
Position right now. We got 3 million in liquidity in, and actually there's a lot more coming actually. So we're closing more deals, and hopefully there's a lot more liquidity, which means more yield and better slippage and all the good stuff. More
yield? You can't possibly get more yield.
There's always more.
I mean, it's
pretty good right now.
It's all the way down to 57% today.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, on a stable, that's just wild. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see, and it just goes to show you like how important it is for people to stay engaged and pay attention, right? Because months from now, people are going to come into Stacks and they're going to be like, dude, wait, people were getting like 60% yield on a stable. What? And it's going to be lore. But if you're here now, you can actually be a part of that lore, right? So, I mean, that's awesome.
I mean, just to give a little context there, this is not going to be 60% forever. This is like a temporary phenomenon because the liquidity that came in is not staked. So 100% of the supply is earning yield, but only the stakers get the yield. And since very little supply, I think it's 20% is staked, they get 5 times as much, essentially. They get the whole 100%. So as more people stake, we're already seeing a lot of stakes come in, obviously. That yield will go down. But it's sustainably, if you just look at the 100% protocol yield, it's around 18%. So there's a lot of a lot of yield to go around.
Yeah, 18%. The target is up to 25%. So this is an anomaly. It's not, take advantage of it while it lasts. Obviously, if you guys are looking for some dollar stable yield, this is the place to get it right now. Anywhere in crypto. And it's also backed by Bitcoin, 1-to-1 backed by Bitcoin too. So I mean, if you're a Bitcoin guy, you definitely should be putting your dollars into USDH, in my opinion. Not financial advice, but it's still an incredible yield paradigm downstream. You know, today's would be, at 18%. That's incredible yield.
Yeah, that's definitely much better than what you can get in TradFi and your bank account, etc. And then it's 100% backed by Bitcoin. We're actually in the process of releasing our attestations from our custodians, which will show exactly the amount of Bitcoin we have, attested by the custodians or a third party. So you don't have to trust us and believe that there is Bitcoin. There's actually like a third party, a very trustworthy third party attesting to that. That's coming out probably on Monday.
Yeah. And right now, where the market's at, like just in general. So Bitcoin price is doing wonderfully, and everything else is PvP just sucking air, right? So if you now's the perfect time. Like this is when you want to be using a stable. This is at the very least, if you're not using stables, this is where you want to be. You're earning some kind of yield on something that you're bullish on, right? Because right now, people are chopping themselves up, just left and right. And that's always rough because when the market gets real PvP like this, you have your capitulation event. And then, you've got in the US, not just this pro crypto administration, but you've got the president being like, no, I know better than the Fed. We need to lower interest rates, so we're already signaling interest rate cuts, which acts as a natural stimulus. So then if you combine that with things like tax breaks or tax incentives, for U.S. crypto or what have you, whatever they're going to cook, you have a lot of fuel there for retail, which is what you need, because right now you have institutions bidding up Bitcoin, but retail is busted, right? So we're in the trenches, and instead of just trying to chase pumps in a limited liquidity environment, dude, just stake and just passively earn some money, right? Like, and be prepared for the next leg up that is coming. But it's just not here right now. You know, we all have the attention of goldfish in this space, right? And just chasing that dopamine. But all you really do ultimately is you chop yourself up and you put yourself in a disadvantaged position for when the market's on easy mode. You survey 100 people right now, nobody's going to tell you the market's on easy mode. It just isn't.
No, it's really tough.
You know?
Yeah, it's the kind of market where you really get chopped up and you can get hurt badly. I'm actually very cautious right now because there's so much volatility and uncertainty, and so many. When the meme coins start pumping, I get very cautious because that's how you can lose your shirt. And I agree. I mean, we're all Bitcoiners. We all want to have exposure to Bitcoin, and I think we all have plenty of that. But what we want to provide is the ability to hold a stable coin that is really still Bitcoin. You're still holding Bitcoin. You don't have to trust a bank. You don't have to trust the fiat system. You're still holding Bitcoin, but you have that optionality of being in a stable place, right? Where it doesn't go up and down. You can plan maybe better. You can also trade in and out of it, right? Like I use stables in my portfolio to like time the market. Right now I have a little bit of stables on the side because there's too much uncertainty. And then it's obviously great if you can earn like 50% of yield on that, because it's going to be hard to beat anyway. Like,
right.
Yeah. Bitcoin has more upside, but it's not going to 10x immediately, right?
No. And you know, instead of just taking that piece of your portfolio and trying to degen, be ready for when it's actually time to degen. You know, if I could impart any bit of whatever collective wisdom I've had in my 8+ years here at this point, is you don't have to catch a whole move, right? You don't need to catch the very bottom, and you don't need to sell the very top to be successful. When you start seeing the reversals, you start seeing good patterns. If you have stables to deploy, now that's when you take advantage of it. And if you've just been earning that whole time, you're just winning, dude. Like there's no rule book for this stuff. The best that a developer can do for you, or a protocol can do, is give you tools, and how you use those tools is entirely up to you. But you can position yourself very, very wisely in stables. That's why stables are such an important part of any ecosystem, and that's why we're so lucky to have Hermetica here, because we have a Bitcoin backed stable. You know, it's funny to me. So like, all these executive orders come out yesterday, and all the maxis are like, "Oh man, banks are going to be able to custody Bitcoin. We'll be able to like get what kind of just nonsense gymnastics do you have to be like, I want to put my Bitcoin in a bank? Like, I understand all of it might be suitable for a certain demographics, it might be this,
right.
But you're supposed to be the ultra orthodox religious Bitcoiner. Like, where's like the council of maxis that's going to decry heresy? Like, this is the most nonsensical bullshit I've ever seen, because they hate smart contracts. They just can't be like, no, let's just do this permissionlessly. Let's just do this, you know, on chain. We're gonna put our Bitcoin in banks. Oh, what a joke. Asshats, man.
Well, so if you're holding your Bitcoin in Coinbase, which I'm guilty of doing, a percentage of my Bitcoin is in Coinbase because it's just easier.
Pretty safe. Coinbase is very safe, actually.
It's super.
They know
safe.
what they're doing.
Coinbase is a bank. Yeah. It's a bank casino, kind of.
But they know how to custody assets. Let's say like that.
Right. I'm not worried. My biggest threat on my having those assets on Coinbase is potentially Coinbase, actually. Like them becoming a conduit to my assets being closed for some other reason by the state. In some, you know,
yes.
my being censored by the state. That's the threat of having it in Coinbase, not someone stealing it from me, unless I'm foolish with my account, you know, access. But Man, we're all here. We're all here. It's a financial product, so we're all here to make money, and you need to take profits if you're going to make money, and you're going to take your profits in dollars most of the time, especially if you're in the U.S. And so, why not take them in a dollar stable coin that's backed by Bitcoin and not centralized and earns it earns incredible yield? I don't see the downside. I really don't see the downside in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of positives to it. And let me say this. I mean, I've been a Bitcoin since 2016, and I was trading professionally for a long time. I don't really do it professionally anymore. I don't have the time. And I wanted to be, I don't like banks. I really hate banks. Number of reasons. I got accounts shut down. Like if you want to send a wire of $10,000, they ask you a bunch of questions, limits, etc., etc. It's just a headache. And so I never wanted to when I was taking profit, I never wanted to go into dollars. And what I did back then, there was BitMEX days. I would just short 1x, right? I would hold Bitcoin on BitMEX and then go 1x short. And that would create a synthetic dollar, and it would earn some yield. And that is, I think, the best way to stay in Bitcoin and earn yield. That's the reason why we say, USDH allows you to stay in Bitcoin, because that's what it does. You don't have to leave Bitcoin. It's available now on Bitcoin. So essentially, what I've done now is make that product available as a token. So you can just buy the token, and we do all the rest for you. You don't have to worry about funding rates and futures markets and shorting and all that complexity. You can just buy the token. That's the origin story. I was actually basically creating USDH for my own portfolio in like 2018, 2019. That's the origin of the idea.
Nuts. Yeah, great. Wow. It's crazy.
You build for early adopters, right? So
yes.
That's as much of a pure use case as you can have.
Exactly.
GP, I wanted to just check in, man. How you feeling today?
Oh, much better from yesterday. Yesterday I was down and out, man. Still a little raspy, but I'm all right. Yesterday I ran a 102 fever, which scared me because usually whenever I get that sick, I'm sick for quite a few days consecutively. But by God's grace, I'm feeling much better today. I feel like my voice sounds a little raspy today, but
you sound like you smoked like 3 packs of cigarettes.
I'll tell you, I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but just a little confession. We were a smoking household when I grew up. I started smoking when I was about 13 or 14 years old. By the time I graduated high school, I was up to 3 packs a day of Marlboro Red. So don't wish that on anybody.
I quit when my wife was pregnant with our first son because I didn't want my kid to be, obsessed and worried about the state of my health. Not only were cigarettes like $1.20 a pack then, which now they're like $7 a pack in the US, but like not just that, but I had a 2-pack a day Marlboro Red habit, and it was, like I couldn't afford that now. Like
no, I couldn't afford it then either. Really,
that's a nice bar.
I have a cigar habit now, which is also not cheap.
No, but they're slightly better for you.
Yeah, I mean they're pure tobacco actually. They're not some weird other stuff.
Well, and you're not drawing it in the same. It's not. You're still inhaling smoke, but it's not the same. But anyway, GP, glad you're feeling better. I'm sure you'll be sounding better soon enough, man. I want to do shout out to our friends in the audience. Gary Reiger, what's up? Elder Statesman, Trippin' Monkey, what's happening? Jamie Fletcher, DeFi Dictator. DeFi Dictator says it's only newbies and normies that will consider putting their Bitcoin in banks. Yeah, you can just wake up one day and boom, the government decides to freeze your account. Same thing with holding it on chain and Coinbase or wherever too. It's the same thing. That's the risk. So you're always better if you can learn how to safely self-custody. That's what the whole paradigm is about. But newbies and or the older crowd, which I'm getting closer and closer to, they're not going to be comfortable. They're not going to be comfortable self-custodying a huge percentage of them. They're just never going to be. So maybe their bank is actually the best place for them to keep it. You know, better that they adopt Bitcoin that way than not at all, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, I think the majority of people will not be able to self-custody, and that's just the reality. So if we want adoption, we have to create solutions that can onboard them, and that's what I think the maxis are getting excited about, because it's going to pump our bags. But yes, we OGs, we need to stay self-custody, because we have to create that option. So if there's anything goes wrong, we show people how to actually take possession of their coins. But it's probably not going to be the first place where they start.
That's not the only place where like OGs are going to be important as mass adoption continues and grows. There's so many things that we take for granted now that are going to change when it comes to crypto, how you interact with it, how you custody it, all these different things that we're going to be like, just in real life, like when you had a grandmother who lived like through the Great Depression or something, who like had a bunch of refrigerators and canned food everywhere, right? Like we're going to be our version of that, you know, with the
ledgers,
knowledge and skills.
Totally. Yeah, I really think that we're going into a different paradigm now. I mean, the administration seems to be not playing games. I think the vibe is shifting dramatically. We're going into like the golden age, and I think we're so battle hardened as OGs, where it's like been so difficult for so long. It's gonna like take some time, at least for me, to like adapt to the new paradigm and see it actually be easy. I think it's like, what if it's easy? Because it's already has so much momentum, right, by itself. If it's then also encouraged by governments, that's just gonna be insane.
Yeah,
I mean, it is insane. It's happening. It's not.
Well, you're going to have not only at the federal level, but states are going to start adopting strategic reserves en masse. You're just going to have, so this is the institutional adoption cycle. I don't think we're going to have mass regular retail adoption or regular general user adoption until next cycle, because we still have there's still a lot of functionality that needs to be built out, and account abstraction is one of them. If people have to write down and save a 12-word seed phrase to protect their assets, they're not going to trust themselves to not I got to write it down. I can't store it in my computer where I store everything else I have to remember. It's not going to be. The users that don't adopt it now are going to miss out, because the prices are going to be that much more once you have all this institutional adoption, which is happening right now. But
institutions where the money is, right? Like,
if you're already
for a monetary asset, institutional adoption is like 90%.
Institutional adoption has to come first. And it is where the money. It's where the money is, obviously. But from a moral standpoint or a value standpoint, we want as many people to get in before the institutions buy it all up as possible, because it's only going to make it better.
They had their time, like they had time. It's been like 15 years. Like it's like one of the few, it's probably the only monetary asset or asset in general where the retail actually had the opportunity to get in. If you're not in yet, sorry,
right.
Like
that was the beauty part about it, is it was just so fair and so open and just so it was just there. And an unfortunate part of human physiology and biochemistry is that a certain segment of humans need like approval before they can do something, right? And so they're getting the approval en masse now. Like that's why you could spend years making impassioned, well-reasoned arguments as to why Bitcoin or why crypto, and it just falls on deaf ears because like everything I trust says that this is bad. So I don't feel as bad for people who have to buy at higher prices to get any exposure, because you get it at the price you deserve, right? I mean, that's ultimately what's really going on here. And no risk, no reward. You know, all of these different tropes are work just fine in this instance. But it really was as fair as you can do something, because I think what people are going to see when they look at this period in history in retrospect, right? When you've got 100 years, maybe 200 years down the line, people are going to look at it like, wow, okay, so the existing power structures of that time recognized how disruptive Bitcoin would be to them. And then, you know, they did everything they could to try to stop it, realized they couldn't stop it. So then it was just a matter of trying to slow it so that, you know, you could be as positioned as possible for your own benefit once you realized Pandora's box was open, right? Like, that's kind of, I think, how history is going to view this. So to Jacob's point, I don't feel necessarily bad for people who get in late, but you do really want to see this in as many people's hands as possible, because we've had a real life case study in the past 4 years. Again, people who have had exposure to Bitcoin and crypto during this time period, maybe not Ethereum, but who've had exposure during these past 4 or so years have done better than people who haven't, period. Like, that's just the reality of it. So I see both the points, but yeah, in terms of institutional, I mean, that's where the money's at. That's where number goes up. And again, that's why you see Bitcoin at 105,000 right now, and you don't have that classic scramble of retail that we're so used to seeing on social media and reflected in the charts, because retail's busted. They should have
retail
been.
is in meme coins. Basically.
Right.
You see the scramble in meme coins. Retail looks at Bitcoin and says 100,000. I can never buy that.
Right. Well, again, so if you have $500 to invest, if you got $500 and you want to turn it to 5,000, this is one of the challenges I've posed to different builders and stacks. If you have $500, you want to turn it to 5,000. What protocol are you going to use on stacks? What are you going to use to try to get these people, right? Because again, like, maybe it's awesome if you got 10K getting, you know, 20%, 50%, you know, whatever kind of yield you're stacking, you're staking, that's a different story. But most people are like, okay, I've got my pickaxe and now I'm going to try to, you know, get my piece of the gold rush. They're going to meme coins, they're going to NFTs. These are the people that make up your community. And that's why, like, meme coins are actually necessary. They do have a utility. You're starting to see more people come around to the idea of, like, memes and crypto just being a cultural movement as much as it is a financial movement. I think that's something that we've established in this ecosystem for several years now. We've had discussions about that. You're starting to see that play out. But the part of the culture is like, hey, this is a way for me to, like, improve my standing, improve my status. And so if you can nurture and if you can provide good quality, you know, products that appeal to this demographic specifically, then you can turn those people into people who use things like Zest and people who stake and stack and get the yield and all that, but they need their shot. That's why Solana has so much volume, and that's why, like, Solana is basically a slot machine at this point. You know, I turned around, put $200 into some random meme on Solana the other day, woke up in the middle of the night, checked my wallet, it's up to $3,000. Like, holy hell. You know, this is okay. I'm not going to go sell right now. You wake up, it's down to $1,500. Like, it's all PvP, right? So what we need to do is we need to foster. And again, coming from the president, I don't know if y'all saw this from the crypto czar, but meme coins and NFTs are collectibles. So that's we've completely abandoned that stupid this idea that it's a security, right? Like this outmoded, stupid way of thinking. No, they're collectibles, and I get that because it is kind of more in line with the cultural aspect of it. Like people who like to play, I don't know, tabletop card games, right? That's a subculture, and those cards can have different values attached to them based on a variety of metrics, but that's not a security.
Right.
Right.
And they even have utility in the games that you're playing potentially. Right. But it's still just a collectible. It's not a security. A Magic the Gathering card is not a security.
So if you look at
it is very similar to a meme token or an NFT.
If you look at Solana and you say, okay, pure degen casino, and then you look at Stacks and you're like responsible, like calls your mom every week, like very, very attractive to people who are serious builders. Like, again, I'll say it frequently on social media, more McAfee, less VC. Like if we can get a little bit of that going on in Stacks, we'll find that happy medium. Because right now we're in a good position to
more
get
McAfee VCs.
We're in a good position to get Ethereum people, right?
Well, I think it's funny because I think what people wanted was flying cars and tokenization, and all they got was not tokenization but securitization. Oh no!
Right.
What isn't a security these days, huh?
No, and
security is an ownership in a business.
Right. Meme coins aren't anymore, which is nice. But again, like to see now crypto-friendly regulations at this juncture in the game, you know, and people can see
Michael, just introduce Michael. I don't mean to cut you off, Jack. Michael, Michael, I don't think you've actually been introduced to Jacob. Jacob's from Hermetica.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, no, we make fun of everyone in the DMs together.
All right, so you guys know each other.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. We throw apples of discord at everyone and watch them fight, and then sometimes we fight with each other. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. We're mostly there to gaslight everyone in the chat. I think that's what we do while we're in. I'm not sure about you, but while I'm in meetings and I don't have to think, I'll type things in the chat. And then sometimes people take things.
Well, what's your name?
That's what we are.
Lockface.
Which one?
We're all people who went to the meetings and didn't have to think, aren't we? Like, we're all sitting there like
attract funding. Lockface.
Yeah. God, meetings are such a waste of time. Anyway.
Yeah, but you were talking about meme coins. I'm totally on board. I mean, I'm a serious builder, right? Like our protocol is very DeFi, very button up. We need to do everything right. We have to like follow the standards because we hold other people's money and we're trusted. But I think that meme coins are extremely important because, as you said, I see them as the most risk reward play you have, right? And you just go out on the risk curve, and the society and the environment that we're in just wants a lot more risk, and so that's where they end up. They like you can argue with meme coins as an idea, but you can't argue with the reality of what the market is showing, right? Like I always talk about, look at just the market, what the market is telling you. The market wants meme coins. There's no question about it, and we need more meme coins on Stacks.
So in that way, are meme coins the inverse of a T-bill?
Basically, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes. I mean,
okay, awesome.
Yeah. There's obviously it's a spectrum, but if T-bills is on one end, then meme coins are on the other end.
Well, the classic T-bill. I don't know what I can't speak for today's T-bill.
Yeah, today's T-bill is
not all meme coins are the same, obviously, too, right? It like Rue it's technically a meme coin, right. But it's also it's very community oriented. There's a lot surrounding it beyond just excitement on the coin, right? It has to do with the team and the community and all that stuff. Same thing with Trump. Trump was successful because there's a ton of people interested in owning a part of the movement the whole MAGA movement, Trump, supporting Trump. It's not all just about engaging in meme coins. It's there's something about it.
The definition of meme that I know is a meme is a unit of cultural transmission. Have you heard that before? A meme is a unit of cultural transmission. Sure. And if you think about memes as jokes, the ultimate joke might be Dogecoin becoming a part of the strategic reserve, right? Trump, if you look at his laughs per minute during his speech, he is on par with most stand-up comedians. And so jokes are very effective because if someone's laughing, you know they're paying attention. You know, and so that's like the subtle power that they have.
Well, it's also
right? Because they kind of
it also is a way to communicate things that are difficult to communicate in a serious way.
If you communicate them seriously, you might be taken out. Otherwise, you get to be George Carlin.
Well, but people also don't receive them the same way. Yeah, you can say things a lot more poignantly when you're making a joke about it.
It's just one of those things. When we talk about meme coins, it just occurred to me. Laughter is one of the most disarming ways to transmit information on the planet that I've seen. They say there's 3 ways: joke, logical statement, work of art, right? And so we see these kind of paradigms of how to approach your business. Am I going to use humor? Am I going to use logical statements? We see a lot of that. Am I going to use art? No, it's very fascinating. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys today, because of Prompt to DAO and this whole BTC fi or DeFi or whatever it is. It's no longer like the F word in the meeting.
Right.
And I'm sure you guys are getting calls.
Depends on the meeting. If you're in a meeting with a bunch of realtors talking about realtor stuff, they don't want to hear about crypto. I promise. I try every time.
Even you saw what happened when I brought up XRP in the meeting the other day? You would have thought like I was bringing up Santa.
Well, so there's a reason for that, though.
Oh, why is that?
Because it's completely centralized.
Oh, yeah? Compared to?
Everything else.
Oh, the other things are decentralized, you're saying. I didn't realize that. Stand correct.
Well, when the foundation picks all of the validators on your network,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
they can decide who actually gets to run all the transactions on your network, it's hard to
We're talking about
not, it's
XRP.
hard to not be viewed as completely centralized, Mike.
Are you talking about XRP or Stack?
I'm talking about XRP.
I mean, XRP is a great meme.
Why are you laughing,
It's a
Jake?
great meme. I think XRP is a fantastic meme. I think it, for some reason, has convinced people that it's doing something with banks, which is, I don't know what that really is. XRP, the token, has basically, or XRP, the network, I've never heard anybody use it, ever. Not once.
There are people.
Really?
There are people. I talked to a few of them the other day on Michael's Space, which, listen, I'm all for development, but there's a reason why. We can definitely look at some of the things that XRP is doing, like trust lines, for instance, and see about applying them. But the difference between Stacks and XRP is that validator nodes on Stacks don't need approval from Stacks to be validator nodes. They just actually have to meet the criteria set forth in the protocol to be one. You just need the requisite number of stacks and the technical know-how to become a Stacks validator. You don't need approval from the Stacks Foundation. That's not the same with XRP.
I just assumed that XRP was holding the reserve for the government.
What?
Which was
Isn't that the play? Right? Isn't that the play? They just give them the reserve that they have and say, hey,
No,
you know,
that's
now you
the
own
dump on retail.
well, this is all
XRP is a meme
We're gonna be
coin. If you
dumping
treat
on-
it like that, I think it's a good
We're gonna
trade.
be-
But it's not
We're gonna be dumping
revolutionary
on-
technology.
The next 2 years is about dumping on retail, isn't it? Sorry, never mind.
Jacob, are you saying that XRP is not going to $10,000?
No, it is definitely. You should definitely buy it. And then you should blame me when it goes to
You heard
zero.
it first. You heard it first from GPSC. That's right, GPSC. it's going to 10,000.
I don't know if y'all.
Yeah, the
I
one
don't know if y'all.
on Stacks. Right? The one on Stacks is going to 10,000. I don't know about the other one that claims to be working with all these banks and stuff. But the meme that's on Stacks XRP, I could see it making 10,000, 10K.
So that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because I saw with Prompted down when I started thinking about it, I was talking to Oman. I hope he comes on, because we were talking about what existed before the Federal Reserve. And he said the Federal Reserve shouldn't have happened because what was happening in the failure of banks was a very natural thing. If banks do not manage their assets well, they should fail, right? And it's the failure of these institutions prior to the Federal Reserve that they argue
in a free market economy.
But he says failure. But he says banks should fail. We should expect banks to fail. And he said, what if we move from a centralized Federal Reserve to a syndicate of Federal Reserves?
Like we had before the Federal Reserve?
That was his thesis. What do you think about that? A syndicate of Federal Reserves instead of one central one.
A less centralized banking infrastructure?
Maybe with Solana, XRP, and Bitcoin?
I think that's kind of what's being built out, isn't it? It's just, they're transcending and including.
And that's why I want to explore this trust lines idea with Stacks. Because if we can have trusted relationships between wallets across Solana, XRP, Stacks through Bitcoin, that's where I think we can have these kind of federated Federal Reserve or syndicated Federal Reserve.
And I don't know how trust lines work, but what makes them secure cross chain relative to a bridge?
Sure. So we're 5 people here. Imagine that we had trust lines between us, like a ring. You know what I mean? Some call it a circle jerk. Sorry, can't help myself. So it's your fault. And so if you didn't laugh, I wouldn't do this. Okay, so we have a circle, and imagine we have trust lines between each other. What does that mean? It means that we can say, hey, between all of us, we are going to say, I allow you to send me stuff, and vice versa. I'm going to create a trust microcosm between us where I trust you and you trust me. And we're going to trust each other up into a certain amount of transaction. Maybe you and I trust each other for like 10,000, right? So there's a trust that exists between us with certain parameters for a transaction. And when I looked at Binance's account on XRP, that's all it was. It was Binance in the center, extending trust lines between them and other, banks, essentially. And some of these banks would have trust lines between each other. And so when I saw that and saw how it was being used, I was like, oh, okay, I can see the use for that. Not only keeping it at your wallet, but also
to make sure everyone understands, and I, including myself, trust lines are something encoded into the XRP mechanism where you can set parameters on your account, your wallet address, or attached to your wallet address, or however it works on XRP. It's
wallet to wallet. You're creating wallet to wallet.
You're creating parameters so that only people you approve can transact with your account.
Up to a certain limit. Based on a token,
which is actually some stuff Jamie actually was commenting earlier, and I know that there's stuff that Dan's building out in Boom Wallet that will allow some of those types of functionality. So some of the things that they've been talking about, I don't know what the functionality will be initially. It's more downline stuff for Boom, but some of the stuff that was being talked about was like, for instance, you can set parameters where your account can only spend up to a certain amount of, like, let's say you have 2,000 STX in your account, but you don't ever want to spend more than 100 at a time without having to do like some kind of extra approval step or something, just as a rail to safeguard your own transactability.
Thresholds with intervals.
Right. Yes. Or a multi-sig might do something where if it's this amount, then only one signature is needed. But if it's this amount, then we need 3 signatures out of the group or something like that. So just different programmability there. But trust lines would also instigate like, oh, you created a false stacking DAO NFT, but you can't send that to me because I don't have an open. My wallet is open for you to distribute to.
Of trust.
But it would be set at the user level, and for all intents and purposes would have to be defaulted to off. And then you're also talking about the protocol would have to be adopted by all of the. It probably would have to happen at the wallet level, so you'd have to have a SIP integrating it with the wallets, and the wallets adopted.
Or we just spin up a new wallet and add that as a custom functionality for XYZ wallet, and not have to, wait for a SIP or any of that to happen.
Oh, you could do that, but to get adoption, you would need it to get integrated into the wallets that people are using now.
And so the only way I see of doing that effectively is to prove it out first and say, hey, this is the technology as it works. Do you care? Do you think it would make your stock price go up? Yes. Okay. The adoption, right? Because there's a level of like talking about the solutions, but I realize the ultimate way to pitch this is just to demonstrate it working. That's why I say that's what my approach would be. Let me just prove it working, because you can only spend so much time like creating SIPs and going to GitHub and tagging people.
Wow, we got a full house. We got Oma here, and actually Dave in the house. What's up, Dave? What's up, Oma?
Mr. Prompt to DAO. I want to hear all about it.
Fellas.
This guy
prompted
his house.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, what's up, boys?
Yo, Mr. Prompt to DAO. Tell us all about it.
Yo,
I want to hear about it. This is the new alpha.
That was crazy. What's good? Yo, first, what's up? Peace, Jacob. What's good? GP, Jack. What up? Yo, that was crazy, bro. Like last night, I was
give them the background. Take the next 5 minutes if you want. This is big.
That's not. Is that a Yankees hat?
What do you mean? I live in Brooklyn. Of course, it's a Yankees hat. Yeah.
Take it off.
Oh, Peace. Where do you live?
Boston.
I live halfway between New York and Boston. Half of my family is Yankees fans, and half of my family is Red Sox fans. I don't really even care. I was just using an opportunity to bust your balls, Dave.
Go for it.
Yeah, no. Yo, so this prompt to DAO thing last night. I mean, there's some kinks I feel like needs to work out, but.
Sorry, go ahead, Dave. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think there's a few little kinks that I think they need to work out. But like I was looking at it this morning, so it's like, I guess the way I see it is I launched, because like we've been talking about doing this in my crypto cabal.
I'm going to share my screen while you're talking.
Yeah.
I have it queued up. Believe me. All right. So can you
hold on? Why am I not in your crypto cabal chat, Dave?
Listen. You guys know how to separate certain parties. You know what I mean?
All right, I'm sharing my screen right now.
Everybody with everybody, it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Peace. I gotta, I just added Landy in there, and I'm regretting it very much with his.
Oh man!
Listen, I don't talk anywhere near as much as Landy. I have other people.
It's a good point.
I find it very entertaining. I'm sharing my screen right now.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute myself. Dave, keep going and tell me what to do while you talk.
Yeah, so ultimately, all I did last night, I was just saying to myself, you know what? Because I was messing around. We're still configuring like my Junie agent on the back end, right, on the virtuals platform in the game engine. So I was like, when I came across this, I was like, prompt to DAO, and then I remember hearing something about it. So I'm like, hold up. So I went to Grok, I went to O1, I use like all 3 different like AIs, and I have them like create different prompts for me. And then I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to create a DAO that everybody can participate in, profit share, voting, the whole 9 yards. And it wrote me like this amazing prompt. And I was like, you know what? Let me fucking do it. And then literally, I think it was like 7 or 8 minutes later, it's like, bing, and it pops up. And I had no idea. Cause like I saw factory.fun like mention something, but like I didn't really understand like what was going to happen. And then I realized like, oh, the bonding curve, like people get to actually like invest in this. This is like, it launched 19 contracts in like 5 minutes. And I was like, holy shit. So now there's like voting. So like you could literally own a piece of the DAO now, like with like of alpha DAOs. I don't know. It wasn't working this morning when I went to go check it, which was a little weird. But I think this is real. I mean, the concept itself is just really fucking cool. Really,
Yeah.
really cool.
So Dave, do you mind reading this out loud and then explaining what this is? Because I think this here, just before you joined, we talked about what existed before the Federal Reserve, which was, I guess, like a syndicate of organizations, kind of like a federated Federal Reserve, right? Before they decided to centralize. So when I saw what you did here, I was like, shit, maybe the future of the Federal Reserve is a bunch of them. You know what I mean? For like resilience purposes. So do you mind reading this out loud? And then talking about it? Because this is really genius.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you didn't hear it. I just rambled on for about 5 minutes pointlessly, but I'll read it again. So, hey, prom DAO, I need a DAO tailored for my crypto cabal of alpha chasers and degens. The DAO should manage pooled investments, enable transparent voting decisions, and handle profit sharing seamlessly. Make it simple to onboard our squad, keep the UI slick, and ensure it vibes with our ethos. Can you outline the steps to set this up and recommend platforms, tools we should consider? Also, how do we make it look badass for branding purposes? And bro, like right after, it's like, bing, like that's pretty cool. I mean, look, the UI, like it's all like GPT generated, all the logos look the same, whatever. But like that's the minutia stuff, right? That's just me being like OCD about stuff. But I think it's just, and now when you open it, like you have the ability. See, this is what was weird. It wasn't populating unless the whole thing like got bought out, which is kind of weird, which doesn't make any sense. But they got some kinks that they need to work out. But yesterday there was like they showed like the market cap of the DAO. It showed how many holders, who was holding, and look at this. There's 19 different contracts that it deployed. You can like vote on chain with this stuff. Like shows who's holding what token, who has what voting rights. It's just fucking cool. I mean, I would love a tutorial on this by like the AIBTC guys, but I just think it's dope. There you go.
That's part of like when we structured Rue, having things like this in mind.
Yeah.
Because when you take in the idea of an investment DAO is a beautiful thing, right? It's a beautiful thing for tokens. It's a beautiful thing for NFTs. You know, like you can immediately fractionalize ownership of a very expensive whatever. But then like when you say, okay, now the AI is going to make decisions on what kind of things it buys. You know, it's going to look at social metrics. It's going to look at tokenomics. It's going to do these things in an impassioned way, right? No, it's a massive, massive unlock for the ecosystem. This is why I was screaming 3 weeks ago. I was like, they need to be throwing every dollar they can at this AI development on Stacks right now. It's one of the biggest unlocks we have. No one else is doing this, and it just so happens to coincide with the time where people are very disillusioned with Ethereum. And so I bet you a lot of people on this panel have a ton of experience with Ethereum.
Yeah.
We came to Stacks because like, oh wait, this is Ethereum on Bitcoin. This makes total sense, right? Now's the time. And now you have your killer app that can help bring everybody here. Like that working group needs to be 10 times its size, and it needs to be funded like Fort Knox because this is a huge unlock, you know?
Yeah. You should see like, the chain that I was going with Diego yesterday. Like he was midair coming back from Paris, and the shit that he was just spewing out in the DMs was like, look at this, and then we're gonna do this, and then what about if we did this, and then think about this, and think about this, bro. Like, and these are passion builders, man. Like these guys love this shit. So I'm all for that, Jack. Yeah, that would be, yeah. They need to put some money into this shit.
Yeah.
At the rate this is iterating, I wonder how long it's going to take us before we have more AI agents existing on the planet than people.
Well,
because
it's impossible to say, you know.
It seems to be probably a more of like a short-term thing than a long-term thing, I would expect. Like I don't think it's going to take very long. So those guys, somebody at AIBTC actually prompted a DAO for DeOrganized media, like to support DeOrganized media. And I have no idea how it's like what it's actually going to do for us. But you bet your bottom dollar I put a couple stacks in there just to like, I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy that there's an AI DAO created with AI agents for the purpose of supporting our project. And then I created one the first day that it was available, actually, to support
Are
the.
you guys still seeing my screen? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, can someone talk about these guys?
Oh shit! I didn't realize board Elon Musk.
Yeah, please, Dave, tell them.
I saw the PFP, but I didn't realize that was board Elon Musk. Oh shit! That's a big deal. Are they like
really?
That's a big deal because like board Elon Musk was using this. I think he launched like a DAO. I think a couple DAOs as well. Like because I was looking through the comments, reading everybody
On AIBTC?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is
he
nuts.
launched Burn DAO.
No,
Yeah.
huge,
Burn was. That's crazy.
massive unlock for the ecosystem. Like this is where we need to be. And then if you want to stay ahead of the curve, the next thing is DeSci. Okay, that's the next compelling narrative that's going to come up, and it's going to work hand in hand with AI, just like crypto works hand in hand with AI. And so, if we want to move the needle here, this is where our attention and focus has to be on, to a very, very high degree. And because this is where you get your retail, this is where you get your volume. Stacks is at a place right now where you need very little volume for this thing to just fly.
You want to talk about the unstoppable internet? You're looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for DeSci specifically too, like DAO creation is everything, right? Like that's how they're gonna get funded, right? Like all these DeSci projects. I went through the first DeSci cycle, right? Like a year and a half ago when I launched the Wolf Web 3 account. And it was crazy what I saw. And that was probably the tip of the iceberg. Because now you got guys like CZ on the timeline really talking about how, DeSci is going to be like this next thing. And people are really starting to take notice. And this is like the biggest pain point for them was like, we got no money. Like these are people looking to cure fucking cancer out here. And they're like, we have no way of getting funding. Like we have people in place. We have the research. We have this, we have that. But they have no way of getting funded. So like this can be on Bitcoin.
Here's the deal. This is why it's so perfect. I'm glad you said about curing cancer, because here in the US, we had a billionaire jump on TV talking about how AI would be able to diagnose your cancer based on a blood test and then create an mRNA vaccine and within 24 hours, 48 hours. And everyone's like, no, fuck that. Like, hold up, like pump the brakes, right? And because that's the thing, you do need a decentralized narrative to combat what could wind up being a further centralization of curing and diagnosing and so forth.
The process for curing isn't the problem. The process for curing isn't the problem. It's the who's going to own that, which is I actually saw that video the other day and I tagged Michael underneath it saying this is why we need to make sure that these tools are available to as many people as broadly as possible so that someone doesn't become the dictator of Earth because they can cure everybody's anything and you have to crawl to them to get it.
Right.
It's important that these things are decentralized and open.
Yeah. DeSci is going to be massive, man. And we now have a prerequisite for it to thrive in the ecosystem.
I do want to shout out Paul Frederick, aka Oma, in the house. I don't know if he's able to chat with us, but good morning, Paul. And also Mr. Good Vibes. How are you doing today, Vibes? Thanks for joining.
Good morning. Enjoying what y'all are talking about.
Right on, right on. I hope these guys actually incorporated in Wyoming. Am I right?
Every day. We stay out of trouble that way.
But I mean, I guess DeSci in my mind is just a really smart way to do fundraising.
Yeah.
It's like it's crowdsourcing. It's crowd fundraising, but with a token attached that gives you upside to the actual outcome, which obviously is great. And we can use this for everything. Science is obviously one that needs to disrupt it because it's a brutally inefficient process right now. But there's a lot of other things.
Also want to shout out Hunna. Would love to have the brother jump on and join the conversation, but he's having issues with his internet. So if somebody could send a Starlink down to Zimbabwe for him, we can get him in here more often. Would love to have him on. I've been trying to do a Hunna show for like 2 months. and I love the dude. So just shout out. I know he's frustrated; he can't get on. But yeah, we definitely need to get we need to get more stuff on the DAO process and the DeSci, all of this stuff. Michael's got something. We can't hear you.
That was the main reason I want to have Dave, and he said he couldn't make it. And I'm like, no, I really want you to make it, because I think what he did there showed what I believe can become basically it's not financial advice, but when I look at the market and the market value of all of these agent platforms, I haven't seen anything like this on any of the other platforms. Have you? Dave, have you seen anything like this on any of the other platforms?
No, some like a prompt to DAO? Never. I mean, I have not started. I've been wanting to start a DAO for 4 years. Like, you guys know that I come from the VV community, right? So me, Millie, and a bunch of the others, right? Like, and I have I have a chat that has about 105 people or so. And every time we're sharing like different alpha in the group, and it's just like people that miss that, right, will still want to be able to take part in like some of the degen shit that we do, or maybe there's some real plays that we do. Like, I literally, like, everybody in that chat, I've probably onboarded all 100 of those people into the Stacks ecosystem, and every single time they're like, what play do we do? Like, what do we make? Like, what's going on? And some people, and they're literally all over the world, from here, like, to the APAC region, the Netherlands, in London. So, like, they want to be able to take part, but people are sleeping at certain times and when calls are made, right? Like, think about everybody who missed Trump. It was like, fuck, man, like, I wish I could have taken part. But if you had the ownership in here and you had, and the voting was set up, right? It's like your dollars would have counted towards, like, let's say, like a particular investment. If this works the way I think it can work, like, think about how powerful that is, man. It's like, yo, I was.
Now, this guy, Vibes bought so much Trump, he changed his PFP just now. Hey, Vibes, what's on over there? Did you sleep yet?
Holy shit. Can you even see me? Hold on.
I can see it.
We can see, like, from the nose up.
So here's the crazy thing about Vibes. Vibes got XRP. Vibes didn't care about your manifesto, right? Ethereum, Solana, fucking Bitcoin, Melania. Like, Vibes been killing it for the past 2 months. So much so on Pepe and XRP and Trump and Melania, and doing it in public, by the way. Basically, like, calling a shot like Babe Ruth. What's your TikTok? You had 4 videos and 15,000. How many followers?
I started posting a couple days ago. It's at 30K right now. And
30K followers off of 4 videos?
Yeah, man. Because I made some accurate calls.
In what, 48 hours? This all happened?
Yeah.
48 hours from zero.
From zero. I just said, fuck it. I'm going to start posting.
Done. Right? And so, you know, so you've been doing this for, like, hardcore for about 90 days, huh?
Hardcore. Like, I'm talking 18 hours a day. Like, I'm in it.
I wanted you to meet Dave. Dave, Mr. Good Vibes. Mr. Good Vibes, Dave. You kind of like counterparts in different cities. But can you tell, Dave, what you've been up to recently, what you've observed, and your whole idea of brand market fit and cultural-based investing? Because it's not a thing here.
Well, you know what's funny? Actually, at the start of the Trump rally, November-ish, I got in on some things. I was a little too conservative, I won't lie. I could have made more gains. But I was reading The Intelligent Investor, and I saw that gain happen in the crypto market, and I said, you know, I'm going to stop reading this book right now. So I actually put it down like 50 pages in, because I was bringing an old mindset to a market that is totally chaotic, and I didn't want to interrupt what could happen because I'm adopting old, you know, state of beings and mindsets that were relevant probably a decade ago, maybe a few years ago. But the hysteria that's taking over right now, it's all cultural investing. I don't look at the Intelligent Investor as a way to, you know, invest in the crypto market. I'm looking at cultural investing, and that's something I teach my community. I grew the Discord to 2,000 members now in the last 48 hours from 200. That's about a 10x. So what I'm talking about in there is getting some good traction. I witnessed what it's like to move a market. That was interesting. So, you know, and obviously you got to be transparent and follow.
In your honor, continue.
Exactly. Move the market just from watching other people's screens, not me, of course. But what else has been interesting? Yeah, brand market fit. You talked about brand market fit. I think product market fit is cool if you're a hardcore technologist and you're building the next open AI. That's great. But for people who aren't, I think you're going to need a very strong brand. I think you're going to need to be relevant. I think technology, the threshold of being great is lowering because of the tools available to us. Like right now, I could create an MVP in probably the next 48 hours as well, if I really wanted to, because of bolt.new, or are they bolt.dev?
Bolt.dev, yeah.
Bolt.dev, one of those things, right?
Something.new is going to come out. That should
Exactly.
be a new site. Someone needs to start that. Something.new. Go on.
So all these technologies exist now. What really matters is distribution and cultural relevancy. I think if you have those two things, you could create anything you want.
What do you mean by distribution? Are you saying that people with distribution are going to beat the people who are writing code with cursor all day?
I think it matters more right now, more than ever.
How dare you?
Technology
these people spent their entire lives coding. You're going to tell them that someone with distribution and a nice smile is going to beat them at this game in this market?
Facts.
You know what I will say though? Actually, technology will be more relevant in the bear market. Right now in a bull market, you're going to need just hype.
Most backhanded comment I've ever heard. Technology will be relevant whenever all the money's gone.
I've lost money on my utility tokens this year, but I'm up crazy on my meme coins. So I'm just speaking from real experience. I invested in a bunch of shit where I was like, that seems useful, and it's down. Nobody really cares right now about utility.
So there's a time to be Warren Buffett, and there's a time to be John McAfee, perhaps.
Or Mr. Good Vibes.
What Mr. Good Vibes is right about, what he's correctly identified, is you cannot remove crypto from culture. It's been a countercultural, subcultural movement from day one, and now that we're on the verge of mainstream adoption, that's going to change to some degrees that we can't quite fully anticipate yet. But that is correct. You build during the bear, but you have to keep in mind that the culture is what moves the needle here. That's ultimately your main driver. Always has been, always will be. 100%.
Now, before we end off, I apologize. Paul, are you there? We started this conversation off kind of with
Yes.
We started this conversation with the prompt down, what Dave did with the sophisticated. I mean, he already had businesses existing, by the way. That's the kind of secret. You don't just fucking spin up a down, magic internet money happens like South Park in Canada, right? You already had businesses, and now you're adding functionality and, liquidity channels, let's say, for these things, right? And Paul talked about, there's all these debates on Twitter Spaces, Federal Reserve, not Federal Reserve, what should we do? And Paul pointed out something that resonated with me, which is he said, when they created the Federal Reserve, they created it because banks were failing. And Paul said, no, in the jungle, animals die, or haven't you noticed? Right? And so he said that in the future, you could have potentially, and maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but instead of a Federal Reserve, a system of federated reserves, denominated in Sol, BTC, ETH, or whatever the hell you want. Junie, maybe, right? Yeah. So can you comment on that, Paul? Like what existed before the Federal Reserve and how you're articulating the fact that before we maybe had a system that seemed to be failing, but was resilient for a different reason?
The reason why I looked at it is everybody looks at the Federal Reserve and looks at what the problems that, we are experienced with it. But if you look at the Federal Reserve, why it was created, you can read the Jekyll Island book, you can do all that. But you really have to look at the history of how the free banking, there was about 2 periods in our country we had free banking, which, the values were retained within the bank. They issued their own scripts to be able to, and then banks traded that. They went through 2 different phases. And about the turn of the century, you had players in the banking system that were, really lending too much money or doing too much script out. They didn't have the gold and silver to back it. And people would lose confidence in that bank. Wouldn't necessarily that all the banks were doing that, but a few could be doing it, and then they would affect the trust. And then next thing you know, you'd have a run on the bank because people would want to pull what they had in it physically out. And banks loan money at that time. There was no fractional reserve. It was full reserve. So today, with the systems that you have digitally, I look at those as kind of the same era, and that, if things aren't addressed to where they manage that trust component and manage the people aren't going to come in and just rug you like what happens. It's like an accepted things in the meme coin arena. That something eventually will be forced into a centralization. Decentralization will, be a hard thing, or you make it where you've got a multitude, many centralized, like the regional banks of the Federal Reserve, not one central authority, and you have the government, the actual Treasury, and all those guys do their job, which they should manage instead of just, excuse me, letting somebody, run it for you, and we just borrow from them, because that way it puts it back in the individual's hands versus one central group that protects the larger corporations and allows the government to grow. So,
Peace, you mind if I share my screen just before we end off for one final time?
I got like 5 minutes. I'm just
No,
telling somebody, I'm telling somebody that I have a 10 o'clock call with that I'll be.
This is the last thing I want to show you. All right. This is the last thing.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me.
It's okay.
Turn you on here.
So tell me when you can see it.
You're on.
What do you see?
Fuck your feelings.
Oh shit.
You are a special one, bro. You are a special one. Let me tell you.
Is this where you're gonna tell us that it was Jackie O that shot him? What are we doing here?
So if you go to whoshotjfk.card.co, that's whoshotjfk.card.co, you can chat with some of the documents that have come out about JFK. You just have to start the call.
It was hitmen that worked for the Montana family out of Chicago, hired by the CIA. You don't have to go to the website to find that out.
Well, why did the CIA want to do that?
And there was also a backup team from France that were a secondary group in the Middle East.
Right. It was hired, right? It was mercenaries for hire.
Why did the CIA want to do that?
Didn't the file say it was Lyndon B. Johnson, or am I missing something?
This is why you go to whoshotjfk.card.co. That's right, whoshotjfk.card.co, and all of these debates that's happening.
They did it because he was going to rein in the authority of the CIA.
And why was that? Why did that happen? What happened before that?
What happened? The Bay of Pigs?
Yes. And what was the Bay of Pigs?
A false flag. I got to wrap.
And if you want to find out more about that, you can go to the website. Thanks, everyone. We did the show we want to have. We got a lot in today. Thanks, Peace.
Thank you, Michael. Always a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Vibes, Dave, GP, I'm glad you toughed it out. Paul, great having you. Jakob, who gave us some great stuff early. This was one of the best morning shows we've had. Thank you guys all for joining. It was great conversation. I'm not rushing to get off because
it's okay. It's beautiful.
If I didn't have a call that I'm already late for, we could keep going. But we'll have to have you. We'll have to do this again soon. Jack, obviously, always a legend. Every Friday, you're my draw, and I love you guys. Thank you all you guys have a blessed day. I am PeaceLoveMusic. We are DeOrganized Media coming at you live on Decentralized Broadcast, DeOrganized Media, in partnership with our good friends over at BitcoinLive, Decentralized Broadcasting. Y'all have a blessed week. Peace out.